Ignition sequence starts. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Liftoff. We have a liftoff.
Hey everybody, this is the Digital Asset Investor, and a little reminder, the CEO of iTrustCapital is going to interview with Joe Indoso from Link2 tomorrow morning, 9 a.m. Pacific time, and they are also, Link2's also going to be adding iTrustCapital shares to the platform. This is after years of iTrust rising to be the largest self-directed IRA company in crypto, the largest. This is going to be good stuff right here. All right, check it out. Brian Armstrong says it was cool. History of Money campaign in DC is what Coinbase was doing, so they were doing their promos here, and I thought it was funny because Mr. Huber fixed the picture and added Joseph Lubin holding the elbow in there. We'll get to Joseph Lubin here in a second. Look at this from John Deaton's law firm. So the SEC met with FTX repeatedly, failed to detect any fraud or prevent its harm to investors and customers. 2, failed to prevent Celsius, failed to prevent Terra, destroyed Library and harmed LBC holders and their families, the people whose families were depending on them building that business. They had some family photos out in front of the SEC, as I recall. And then 5, lost the Ripple case. Not a record to be proud of, Gary Gensler. And then the people over at CoinDesk are still struggling. They're having tons of problems coming to terms with Ripple winning the lawsuit.
I'm sure some people are going to say that, yes, this is the precedent they're looking at. But given the uncertainty around the appeal, and the fact that, quite a few crypto lawyers are even saying that the appeal itself, the decision itself, doesn't really make a lot of sense to them. I think most likely a lot of attorneys, a lot of projects are going to say, okay, we're going to have to continue waiting and seeing, and either A, hope that Congress does something more concrete in that time, or B, see if the SEC itself decides to provide some, rulemaking or other forms of guidance that they can point to.
I think the reason these people are freaking out is that it's dawning on them that I think that what they're worried about is that Ripple's about to do a post-judgment settlement, and they know that when that happens, the ruling will only apply to XRP. And I think that's why these people are floundering. Would that be the right word? But I've got a question for them, because one thing that we can't find a shortage of is we have these crypto legal analysts. They've come out of the woodwork to talk about what they call Ripple's partial victory and how, oh, wait a minute, the SEC could appeal. We're seeing that from legal analysts left and right. What I'm looking for is just one legal analyst from this Bitcoin Ethereum camp, and most of them, that's where they're from. I want CoinDesk to have someone on and weigh in on applying the Ripple verdict to Joseph Lubin, because remember, the Ripple verdict said that institutions cannot sell directly, or you can't sell, the founders could not sell directly to institutions, or that would be an illegal securities transaction. Well, as we know, Joseph Lubin had his token factory, and they spent years doing what he describes here. Is this an illegal securities transaction? And if it is, then we're talking about a bunch of them, and I want to know where the SEC lawsuit is.
And we also have a bunch of business lines that make some small amounts of money and some make big amounts of money. So
remember, Ripple was sued for, I believe, $1.something billion. What he's about to say is that doing all of his with his token factory, they made tens of billions.
Consulting arm, multi-tens of billions of dollars. We do
multi-tens of billions of dollars is what they made issuing tokens, multiple tokens, many tokens.
Token launches. Have you heard of token launches? So some of them have done well over the year or years. And so we have a bunch of our own projects that we've token launched, and we token launched third-party projects. And
these people,
and we also have a bunch.
Write it down. These people thought they had cover. They thought that they had designed the perfect vagary in the market by doing the Bill Hinman speech, and it would give Bitcoin and Ethereum this monopoly. Okay, that's why they felt comfortable doing this. That's why you're not hearing any of these legal analysts. They won't even bring this up. Jake Chervinsky, where you at? He's in my copy list. All these people have been copied. The Blockchain Association, Laura Shin. How come nobody? Why will nobody talk about ETHgate? Nobody will address this. Nobody will apply the Ripple ruling and how it would affect Ethereum. The token foundry, the token factory they tried to create, the monopoly that they were running. Nobody will do it because they know that the Ripple ruling is actually law, whereas the Bill Hinman speech was not. It was just a speech. And for that reason, there is out the wazoo, there's liability, and all. These people have a target on their backs now. None of them ever thought it would go this way. John Deaton, both the Senate and the House have introduced legislation in an attempt to provide regulatory clarity for digital assets. A good faith regulator would be working with Congress and industry participants to provide a regulatory framework that fostered innovation while providing important rules like the segregation of customer funds and barring a penalty, commingling, 100% reserves, protecting clients' funds in case. There are tremendous things a good faith regulator could accomplish in the crypto space. In other words, this is what I've said all along. Why would Gary Gensler not be saying, Congress, both sides of Congress, we're going to all get in a room and we're going to sit down, get CFTC in here, the White House and everybody else. Let's get in the room, work this thing out and we won't come out until it's done. That could be done. It could be handled in a freaking month, folks. It could be done in a second. But he doesn't do that because the goal is not to get regulatory clarity. The goal is to hold it off for the incumbents like the JP Morgans. Here's Anthony Scaramucci weighing in on the Ripple decision.
I think the SEC will eventually lose Solana, Aptos, Algorand. I think those things survive.
What is the broader significance of the XRP ruling? Which other crypto assets could benefit from it? And does it mean that the crypto industry can successfully fight back against the SEC crackdown?
There's no reason why Bitcoin couldn't be a 10x asset from here.
Okay, then we've got this. Now, what he's about to say is what I have always thought. Is all this green candles, all this stuff. Yeah, that's exciting and all, but this is what it's really about. When I think about XRP, what he says here is what I really think.
There's this weird narrative from the past about Ripple. The point being is, even if they have to settle a lawsuit and get a slap on the wrist, Ripple plays actually quite an important role. It's a money transmission network, and it does quite a good job of it. And it has deep connections with global governments around the world and has worked really hard on it. So there is a reason the chain is valued as highly as it is, and it's not from speculation, because actually, it got taken off a whole bunch of exchanges because of the lawsuit. It's actually because when I use my netcast law model, the amount of value that gets transacted on the chain is very high. It's being used. So I think if you lift the legal issue, probability is that the value of the chain increases significantly. And as the world moves towards central bank digital currencies, I think the XRP network is going to be somewhere at the center of all of that.
He knows what's going on. Look at this, an official joint press release from the Office of the President, Republic of Palau, and Ripple Labs is scheduled for the 27th of July, 9 a.m. Thursday morning. Is this going to be the first announcement of a central bank digital currency going live? Is that what we're about to see? The dominoes will begin to fall if you see that, folks. Now, poor Chad Steingraber. I think I'm saying his name right. He has, the crypto police are going to come for you. I'm sorry to tell you this, Chad. I know that you did this in good faith, and you should be allowed to do this in good faith and give your actual opinion. But opinions, if they are too wild in speculation, those types of opinions are not allowed in crypto Twitter, or at least in XRP Twitter. The crypto police could be after you, right? They could be on the case right now, Chad. I hope that they're not coming for you, but they very well could be. You broke a couple of cardinal rules. First, you made you didn't use the word prediction, but it's like you're saying the road to 20K, as in this is where we could go. It's pretty highly speculative. I don't know. I support it completely because I think that you're a human being. I'm assuming you live in the United States where it's free and we have freedom of speech, but freedom of speech, that's old hat to the crypto police. The Chad Steingraber theory, the road to $20,000 XRP, a thread. That number is going to get you into trouble, Chad. I'm sorry. I'm going to tell you the story and I'll spin it so that all you need is an interest to learn. I'm going to fast forward to this part down here. I'm not going to go through the whole thread, but you should. It's a good thread, interesting thread. Because he gets to the circulating supply. This is interesting to me. First he lays it out and he's talking about how he thinks that the demand by the banks and Bank of America and those type people is going to be created. Then he goes into, okay, now what happens once they start using it and are ready to use it? Circulating public supply of XRP on crypto exchanges is far less than people realize. A lot of XRP has been lost. Remember Banker Mellon held 1 billion XRP and died, his keys lost forever? I question whether his keys were lost forever, by the way. There's about 20-ish billion on the exchanges. What do we have? Low supply. The banks, when they're ready, are coming for public XRP supply, and once they have it, it's gone. Like as in forever. I do believe that's going to happen, folks. You'll never see it again. In other words, the retail people, a lot of the people listening to my voice are going to be out by $5, many of them. And if not that, 10. And if you're really bold, you're going to be out by 15. Most people listening to my voice, I believe. You'll never see it again. So now imagine the banks and IGLPs overnight begin panic buying XRP market supply in institutional FOMO run on the order books with multi billions of dollars hitting like a tsunami, the likes we've never seen. What happens when you wipe out the public order books in a matter of hours? 30 cents XRP gone, 40 cent XRP gone, 50 cent, $1 gone. What happens? Other exchanges start arbitrage to the highest price. Private wallets transfer. It sounds a lot like the Shane Ellis theory, folks. At that point, they're not coming back to dump on the public market for profits. That's peanuts. Compared to the business global money transfers in the trillions, guess what? I've just been talking about the USA banks. The global US dollar money supply and circulating somewhere around 40 trillion. To be in 1% of the 1% of public XRP holders varies somewhere around 60 to 70K XRP valued at about 30K-ish on the day. There's only a few billion on the exchanges for public retail trading. 28 now add the rest of the world's banks, add the world's billionaires who will want their cut, add quadrillion derivative market. Think about this real hard. What happens when that public circulating supply drops to only 1 billion? What's next? It's going to sub-billion, into hundreds of millions. What's next? Only 100 million public supply. Da 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 da. So he keeps going. I see. Here's the maybe the psychological place where everybody listening to my voice is that you can't imagine a scenario like this because you've been sitting there and it's all been up to retail for all these years. But I contend that that's what all this regulatory mess has been about. At the point that this is all over, and I think for Ripple, you see a post-judgment settlement, and this is game over. it's really game over anyway, because they can come in now. The banks can come in now. And don't be surprised if you don't start seeing announcements. You're seeing Palau is doing a joint press release this week with Ripple. That should tell you something. So strap in, folks, because I believe it's going to get interesting. The second that those institutional dominoes and CBDC dominoes begin to fall, that's when things could get interesting. And people can't imagine this because it's been the whole time that XRP's been in existence. It's really been a retail game with a bunch of retail people talking about it. Breaking: the 158 million in payments that Leon Black made to that guy from the island is under investigation by the U.S. Senate Finance Committee. Ooh, where those roads will lead, folks. Well, we know that Jay Clayton replaced him over at Apollo. And I've always wondered, why would they pick Jay Clayton of all people and to replace a guy who had ties to the guy from the island? And isn't it a crazy coincidence that Gary Gensler, the guy that hired Gary Gensler at MIT, Joy Ito, also had to leave because of his ties to the guy from the island? What are the chances of that, folks? And what are the chances that this whole thing right here with his $150 million, this issue came out of the Virgin Islands, who began an investigation into JP Morgan and their ties to the guy from the island? Are you seeing how this whole circle works, folks? I'm the digital asset investor. I'm not an investment advisor. This is for entertainment purposes only. Please subscribe, hit the like button, and tell your friends and family. I think we're quite obviously the good guys, because the guys on the other side are tied to some really evil folks, from what I can tell. So I feel pretty comfortable about being one of the good guys. Thanks for listening.